So carrying on with the Spider-Man theme, we have the review of the Andrew Garfield 2 Spider-Man films here. So let's get right on with the video. Enjoy! How we all doing, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy, right here, this geezer, back at it with another video. So like I said to begin with in the intro, I'm following on from my review yesterday. Hopefully this comes out the day after. I will be very angry if you don't upload this. Yeah, carrying on with my review of the 4Ks that I did of the Tobey Maguire, Sam Raimi films. I decided that I was going to review the Andrew Garfield films. This is the first time, like those films, I've seen them in 4K. And it's been a while, actually, since I watched both of these films. And, yeah, pleasantly surprised. And I wanted to talk about it like I wanted to talk about the Maguire trilogy. So let's get on with it. So, obviously, we have the first Amazing Spider-Man. We have the brand new Andrew Garfield taking over the roles as Spider-Man. So in these films we have a massively different story to the other one, whereas we have like Peter's more personal struggles in the Maguire trilogy. This one has more of an overarching theme to it, surrounded by the mysteries of Oscorp and the disappearance of Peter's parents. So it opens with Peter and his dad playing a game of hide and seek, and he goes into his dad's office and someone has broken in, and from that night on they leave, and Peter never sees them ever again. We then cut forward. We follow to Peter Parker, what he's up to, and how he's getting on with school and stuff like that. Obviously, he's living with Aunt May and Uncle Ben. This Peter Parker is the biggest loser. He has no friends, which is even fucking Maguire's films had. At least he had Harry to begin with, but yeah, he doesn't even have Harry in the first one, which is quite weird when you think about it. It's not even a mention, but we'll get onto that in a bit. He's rummaging around the basement, and he finds an old bag that belonged to his dad's, basically. And he starts going through it and looking through all the stuff, and he finds some research papers to do with Oscorp and Dr. Connors and stuff like that. So he goes to investigate. He ends up at Oscorp. He manages to sneak in with a trip of students, which is led by the beautiful Gwen Stacy, played by the amazing Emma Stone. We'll talk about those two later. But yeah, he manages to sneak off and find some. He gets bitten by a spider, as always, because Peter's always just wandering around. He gets bitten by a spider. Peter, it's like, Peter, will you stop? Stick to the tour group. So obviously Peter again goes through all the same stuff, and he started to get powers and stuff like that. Like the great scene where he mugs off Flash Gordon in the basketball scene. I really like that scene. It's actually really cool. Yeah, not too much different, really. Apart from obviously Peter trying to work out the mystery of his dad, and basically, I like to see that like growing pains, like sort of thing. I like how Peter's parents are more of an emotional beat in these films, to be fair, and how he's like a young teenager trying to deal with everyday life, and obviously trying to deal with the fact that he's never seen his parents, he's never got an answer and stuff like that, which does drive some people absolutely insane. So I actually quite like that. And Andrew's really good at selling those scenes. I think Andrew Garfield is a fantastic actor, and he really plays the emotional, upsetting bits really well. He plays the cockiness of Spider-Man absolutely fantastically. I think he does an amazing job as Spider-Man. I think, obviously, some people's common complaint is he's too pretty to be Spider-Man. He doesn't look as nerdy as like Maguire did, which are fair enough. Like, yeah, I feel like he plays. Actually, no. To begin with, when I originally watched Amazing Spider-Man, I thought he didn't really play. I agree that I thought he was a bit too attractive to play like this sort of nerd. But also, rewatching the film, it's a different kind of like nerd. He's like a lonely skater kind of guy with mass intelligence. He's like obviously like a photographer and stuff like that. So he's like a lonely art student more than just a lonely maths science geek sort of thing that the Maguire incarnation of Spider-Man is, which I quite like. The love interest in this film, instead of Mary Jane, we have Gwen Stacy, as I mentioned, played by Emma Stone. Their chemistry in both of these films is absolutely phenomenal. Obviously they're dating at the time, but they really, really bring it to screen, and it really works. It really helps sell their relationship brilliantly. I really like Gwen because she's actually really intelligent. She's really cocky. She just bounces off Andrew so well. Like, they're really great together on screen. Their on-screen chemistry throughout all of it really helps sell. Just helps move a lot of the movie forward. It's really nice. But yeah, obviously the main point that sort of introduces that entangles their life and makes it more complicated is obviously Uncle Ben dies in this film as well, and Andrew uses his Obviously, obviously Uncle Ben dies, and Peter, absolutely enraged by this, uses his newfound powers to try and find the guy, tries to find the mugger and stuff like that, which is more of a vengeful stuff, which is more of a vengeful side to this Spider-Man, which is quite cool actually. You don't actually. So obviously you have that vengeful side in him, like you saw in Maguire's where he chased that guy down. But yeah, you get this nice cool montage of him following people and stuff like that who all look like the mugger and stuff like that. You get to see some really great scenes, like the bit where he's in the back of the car of that guy. I really love that whole sequence and that whole scene. It's fantastic. It's like, oh my god, my one weakness, it's small knives. Absolutely brilliant. I think Andrew really sells those moments and really sells the seriousness as well, like that he's not fucking around as well. I really like that. And obviously, Gwen Stacy's dad is the head of police and wants to catch the vigilante Spider-Man. So obviously there's that really great awkward scene at the dinner table where they're conflicting arguments. Really great. Again, you can really feel the awkwardness. I really feel you can feel both of the actors in that scene. Obviously Andrew and the guy who plays Captain Stacy does a really great job. You can really feel the tension and the awkwardness of it. I really feel like some of those scenes are absolutely fantastic. But obviously, the point of Oscorp and stuff like that is Peter's dad used to work for Oscorp, and he used to work with Dr. Kurt Connors, who we all know turns into the famous and infamous Lizard. Obviously, because he's an amputee, he's trying to grow his arm back, and Peter basically helps give him the combination to how to unlock it, and that transforms Dr. Connors into the Lizard. He starts going a bit insane from the serum and stuff like that as well, so he starts to go a bit crazy, and he wants to change people. He wants to have no more sickness, no more amputees and stuff like that. Why live without something when we can easily change it? Really great. I think having the Lizard is a great starting villain, just because it really shows the absolute strength that Peter has to have to fight him, because obviously the Lizard is so bulky, he's so dangerous, like the claws and stuff like that. I think he looks absolutely fantastic in this. We'll talk about the transfer in a little bit. Yeah, I think, what's his face who plays the Lizard? Fight scenes between the pair of them, like the bit on the bridge, it's absolutely great. That scene where Peter is saving that small boy with a mask, absolutely beautiful. I think it's a great scene. I think there's quite a lot of more emotional beats in the first one, to be fair. The fight in the sewer, that's really cool. The fight in the school, absolutely beautiful. One of the best Stan Lee cameos as well, with the headphones on. The fight, absolutely great. And the ending on the tower as well looks absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely great. Yeah, the transfer-wise looks absolutely fucking gorgeous for the first one. And I think there was 2 scenes where I noticed a bit of noise overall, but yeah, overall the first film looks absolutely incredible. I think some scenes, the colour-wise, I think was a bit either too golden or a bit too, I think the lighting didn't really help for it. But no, overall, I think the first film looked really great. Way better than all 3 of the Maguire trilogy. Hands down, look-wise, not film-wise, don't worry. But honestly, it just looks so much better than those 3 films. It was just night and day, honestly. It looked absolutely fantastic. And I think it really helped me appreciate the film a bit more, to be fair, because growing up, Amazing Spider-Man 1 was my least favourite. I know that people are going to be like, what? You can't say that. I'm over Amazing Spider-Man 2. Yeah, low-key, I get more enjoyment out of Amazing Spider-Man 2, just as a film. I don't know what it is. I know it's not the best, don't get me wrong. Don't get me twisted. There's so many areas where that film goes wrong, which we will talk about shortly. But yeah, overall, Amazing Spider-Man 1 is a lot better, and it was a lot more enjoyable. It was a lot more emotional than I remember. It was a lot, really well acted. Great CG as well. There's some great moments in it as well. Some silly moments here and there that I'm not really too a fan of, when Uncle Ben dies, the way he just threw himself at that guy with a gun, I don't know, it didn't feel like the way they described it, how it is in the Maguire trilogy, I think is a lot better. Yeah, I just think it's not as good as in the Maguire one. But yeah, no, overall, I really did really enjoy my rewatch of Amazing Spider-Man 1, and it just looks really great in 4K. It honestly looks phenomenal in 4K. Yeah, actually really not too bad. So, we're going to get on to the infamous Amazing Spider-Man 2, which, yeah, obviously everyone doesn't really like it, to be fair. They say it's messy of a movie, there's too much going on, too many stupid villains, a bit shitty dialogue, bad acting, and stuff like that. So, I'm going to break this down and see what I really like about this film. First off, before we get into anything, Amazing Spider-Man 2 has the best 4K transfer of any Spider-Man movie, better than all the Venom films. I think the only one that's sort of like on its level is Into the Spider-Verse, but even then I think Into the Spider-Verse isn't as good as like the 4K transfer, and I'll explain, which I'll get into a bit more once we get more later into the review of the film. So, the film follows on from how the first, if you remember from the first film, we see that scene where Peter finds the office and they just leave and you don't get a reasoning. This time you get more of a reasoning. He was obviously being hunted down, Peter's dad was being hunted down by Oscorp. And then basically, yeah, they were having people harass him and try and steal some research from him. We don't find that out right at the beginning of the film. But we get to see the perspective of what happened to the parents that night. So obviously they run off, they leave Peter with Aunt May and Uncle Ben, and they fly off on a plane because they were trying to get away from Oscorp, while also Ben Parker is trying to upload some information of his research as a backup file. This doesn't go the way they do. The plane is hijacked by a Oscorp employee or whoever, or an assassin that is hired, and unfortunately the file is uploaded, but unfortunately both parents have died, and you can see how they die. Which we then open up into modern day, which we see Peter as Spider-Man, and I must say it has one of the best opening shots just ever. Like the bit where he's just jumping down and it like goes from the Spider-Man logo into his back and he's jumping down, looks absolutely beautiful. It's still one of the best openings. Might even be my favourite opening of any Spider-Man film, just because that shot alone is just fantastic. Like, it just looks incredible, and just right from the bat you can tell from the 4K is even better than the Amazing Spider-Man. It's a fact, like, I didn't think they were going to be able to make it look much better, but they just do. I don't know what it is about Amazing Spider-Man 2 or how the way they filmed it. It just looks fucking incredible. Or just the detailing, the colouring, it just all looks so crisp and clean. It's like the fact that, how do they do it? So obviously we see Peter doing his everyday thing, being more as Spider-Man. We'll say the Amazing Spider-Man 2 costume way better than the Amazing Spider-Man 1 costume. So we see Peter, he's intercepting a hijacking of an Oscorp van, which we're introduced to the Rhino. It's like a sort of side villain. That's like his entrance into the film. It's quite funny. There's quite some funny bits in it. It's like, I like to see the cockiness and the light-hearted humour side of Andrew Spider-Man. He does play such a great Spider-Man. I can't believe, like, for all these years that people didn't notice how good of a Spider-Man he really was, you know? Yeah, we're also, introduced to, like, it's like Peter and Gwen's graduation, and then Gwen gives a very ominous speech. It's a very foreshadowing speech, I can't lie to you. But, yeah, it's nice to see, again, more Andrew and Gwen action, like they do. Those two, just absolutely love the pair of them to death. They're so good. I think they have the strongest connection of all three of the Spider-Men. Because from the get-go, you can really tell that Andrew and Emma had great chemistry, so it didn't feel so wishy-washy. Whereas, like, even in Tom in Homecoming, like, obviously when he interacts with MJ, it's not like super sort of thing. But they're not really friends, are they, to begin with? Which I'll talk more about those films when I eventually get No Way Home and I talk about the trilogy as a whole, but for now let's continue with these ones. But yeah, obviously Peter is dealing with some problems because obviously Gwen's dad, when he died at the end of Amazing Spider-Man, told him that obviously keep Gwen out of this because good people are always going to get hurt. Ignore me hand, but it's all you're going to have to do. Obviously he keeps seeing him everywhere, so it's like this battle that his mental struggle he keeps having, like, I love Gwen, but obviously I don't want to see her die, and he feels guilty for the fact that of her dad's death, which is in some ways I kind of think is a bit strange. Like, he cares more about Gwen's dad dying than Uncle Ben dying a little bit, you know. I don't know. Just like I thought, like some of that grief would pass on a little bit more. But yeah, also going back to the fight scene, we're also introduced to one of our actual main villains of this film, Jamie Foxx, who plays Max, who becomes Electro. Obviously, this is where a lot of the criticism comes in with its villain portrayal in this film. Obviously, Max is a Oscorp engineer, and he works with electricity. He's a very smart electrician, as you would expect from sort of villain called Electro. But he's also obviously, we all know how Jamie Foxx is a very cool guy. He's very out there, very outgoing, very confident man. So seeing him play this nerd with glasses and a comb over, yeah, everyone was just like, oh, it's a bit weird and it doesn't really suit him. And obviously he's playing this very lonely character who's got no one, and he's obsessed with Spider-Man. Like, he's really like, what is it? He just like idolizes him because, you know, he's just like, he's got no one in his life. Like, he had to buy his own birthday cake sort of thing. Like, yeah, you can tell, like, it is. And I do, at that moment where they see each other, Spider-Man and Max, like, I really like that scene, actually. I think Jamie Foxx does play it quite well. Like, I don't think he plays the nerd character bad. I think, yeah, maybe some of the dress design was a bit crazy, but I do think he actually played it quite well. And when it comes to the No Way Home, I'm kind of annoyed that they kind of scratched all the nerd stuff from his character. It's like the fact that, just because he died and came back to life, all the nerd memories he had is now gone, and he doesn't understand the context. You know, it's a bit strange, in my opinion, like, but again, people don't like Amazing Spider-Man 2, so they're probably just trying to wash away most of the stuff that's already happened. So yeah, I don't think Jamie Foxx does that bad of a job, you know. It's more in some of the designs of Electro that annoys me a bit more, and some of the dialogue here and there is pretty shit. Don't get me wrong, there is bad dialogue here and there. But no, it has an accident at work, basically. There's a power fault and everyone's leaving, and because he's got nowhere else to be, he decides that he's going to fix it himself, basically. So he does. He obviously, when he puts the wire back together, he touched the live wire, didn't he? Which is a little stupid when you think about it, but he probably got overconfident at the fact that he fixed it and got it sorted by himself, which, yeah. So he gets electrocuted, he falls into an open vat of eels, which is quite funny that it's open. Like, one of the bits is open anyway. I think it'd be more just realistic wise if it was just like something he could smash through. Like, if it was a glass top and his body smashed through, that would make more sense, obviously. But hey ho, there's some little cripes. Obviously, that division of Oscorp, as explained, is experimenting with electricity in living organisms. With the electric shock of the wires, the electric eels as well, just so much electricity pulsing through, it starts changing his body. He thinks he's electrocuted and he dies, and that's it, everyone thinks he's dead. But obviously later, in the morgue, he comes back to life, and that really creepy scene where he actually comes out of the charcoal body, and it's like really first person, he sees like how free. I think that's actually a really well done shot. I think it's really nice. Like, it's really creepy as well. It's shot very nicely. The other villain we're obviously introduced to is Harry Osborne, who is not mentioned in the first film, which I think is very stupid, and the fact that he's now just brought up in this film. It's like, oh yes, I did have a friend called Harry. Why did you not mention him once in the first? I don't know. That's a little gripe that has obviously been missed. Harry has returned to visit his dying father, who sent him off to boarding school. Him and Harry are very estranged, they've very drifted apart from each other. Basically, Norman has a hereditary disease, which is changing his insides. It's like some sort of goblin virus. That's what I'm calling it. I don't know the name of it. I'm just calling it the goblin virus, which is like shifting him more into what like the comic book version of the goblin was. Obviously, his father hands down Oscorp to him, so he takes control of that. Yeah, and also Peter sees on the news, and he like, what's it? Harry passes away. Norman passes away, so Peter decides to go see him. Have that nice little like awkward interaction with each other to begin with, and then reminiscing a little bit. And then there's some scenes by the other side of the lake which is quite funny and looks very stupid. Some of the stupid dialogue. It's just like, that's a question, and he just climbs over the boat. It's like, what are you doing, Peter? It's like, I know you're being awkward right now, but you're being super awkward. Maybe, you know, I don't know. We'll go back to Harry in a bit because I want to talk about the first scene with Electro walking around. Before we get on to more of Harry's story. Yeah, the first scene in Times Square, my fucking god, does it look incredible. All the screens, you can literally see every little detail. It looks incredible. All of the laser beams, oh my god, the slow motion stuff, the close-ups, my god, it looks so good. Is it in 60 frames per second? Because it just looks so fucking clean. It looks incredible. The colours pop in. It moves so fluidly. It just looks absolutely gorgeous. It looks incredible. I will say that scene with Electro dressed in like the rags and stuff like that, and that scene where he first looks up looks fucking horrific. Like, he looks horrible. in a great way, like a villainesque, like sort of horror-esque. Like, I really like that, actually. But yeah, nah, it looks really good. Obviously, what is it? Peter tries his best to diffuse the situation. And obviously, Max remembers him because he's got no one, whereas Spider-Man meets loads of people, so he obviously forgets people very easily, and he's changed. Like, he's trying to diffuse the situation, and then people, obviously, what is it? The police escalate the situation, and then yeah, because Peter has to stop him from hurting anyone. This rages Max because he's like, obviously he's being seen for the first time, which for anyone would be like, I get it, like you would think like, oh yeah, he's being seen for the first time, it makes sense, but people I think just don't take it seriously because he's blue. Literally, that's it. Which I don't even mind that version of him. Like when he's not in the black suit with the lightning bolt, I hate that suit. But like the actual intricacy of like his design is really good. Like the way you can see all his nervous system and everything on the inside, I think that looks fucking cool. Like honestly, and actually in the comic books there is some points where he is blue, so I don't get why people are getting so mad about the fact that he was blue. I don't know. It's really stupid if you ask me. But obviously he's defeated. He's then taken to the Craft or Ravenscroft. I'm not too sure which what the prison facility is called, but that's where they keep all like basically the Sinister Six. Look, I think that's where they took Lizard, Kurt Connors at the end of it, of the Amazing Spider-Man. Yeah, so he's locked there, and while this is going on, Harry is taking over the company, and he's got like a file, and he's going through it. He's looking for all the special projects and stuff like that. He works out that they had a division, whereas like where they were looking at spiders and stuff like that, and like he works out that Spider-Man's blood would help him basically, and try. To just basically, he wants Spider-Man's blood so he can not die from the Goblin disease. But Peter is obviously a bit unwary about this because he doesn't want him to like. He doesn't know if his blood will kill him, if it will turn him into like something like the Lizard or anything like that, you know, which is fair enough. But this obviously pisses off Harry because he wants to live basically, and Spider-Man saying no. It leads him to trying to do some more research and stuff like that. But then he eventually gets kicked out of the company because the board of directors don't want Thingy to look after Oscorp. They think they know the rights. Yeah, so that leads to him getting kicked out, which ends up with him being like, fuck it, I'm gonna need some muscle. So he then breaks Electro out of the Croft, and they go back, and they basically take over the company because they both Harry uses their mutual hatred for Spider-Man to get what he wants, basically. Yeah. Also, Harry finds out a lot of other stuff. If you look at the bit, the bit where he does the screen and he sees all the different files, yeah, you can see in that, like, Morbius is mentioned in that, and Venom is also mentioned in that. So hopefully when Morbius comes out, it fits into these films. Please? Harry lets Electro go on a muck to try and get Spider-Man and kill him, whereas he is then taken into a secret research lab, which is at the bottom, which is basically teasing the Sinister Six, where it has a formula which is trying to recreate the serum that they used on the spiders, which I haven't mentioned. Peter works out, is trying to obviously work out the mystery still of what was going on in his dad's life, basically, because he obviously knows he was working at Oscorp, and he got fucked over, and some people wanted him dead. So he eventually finds his way to a secret abandoned subway tunnel, which has a cart in it filled with loads of his old work, which actually had the file that we saw him upload earlier. Peter sees it, and basically, yeah, it explains that he used his own blood to create their version, and then when he found out that Oscorp wanted to do with his research, he basically killed off the whole line, and because they didn't know what it was that recreated the serum, they were basically just trying to kill him and find out what it was. So while that's going on, obviously Dane DeHaar's Goblin is going down to the research lab, and he takes their version, which exacerbates the condition he's already in, and the Green Goblin is born in this universe. We cut to basically the final part where the finale basically is Electro's taking over the grids and trying to take all the power and just becoming super, super strong, which leads to the showdown of Electro and Spider-Man in that thing, which looks incredible in 4K when they're like doing the slow motion and jumping all around. Oh, it looks phenomenal. Also, the Itsy Bitsy Spider bit is still incredible. I hands down love that bit. It's so fucking... It's such a cocky thing to do. Just be like, Itsy Bits. Oh, I love it. Also, Electro's theme is fucking incredible. It's one of the best music. It's up there with Doc Ock's theme as well. Those two are my favourite. Incredible. It really helps build tension in a lot of the scenes as well. But with the help of Gwen, Spider-Man obviously is able to beat Electro. Because he was about to die. Let's be real. He was about to kill Spider-Man. There was no way he would have lived without Gwen. Which is great. And then they basically overload him and fry him into the... They stick him in the grid, basically. And that's where he dies. And then obviously that's where he'll reappear in No Way Home. Yeah, they think it's all happy and dory. But then obviously Goblin comes out of nowhere. In 4K, he does look really good. I really like the design. Like, he looks disgusting. I don't like Dane DeHart as Green Goblin. He is my second least favourite villain portrayal. Obviously, that leads to the fact he actually works out. He works out Spider-Man's Peter there because obviously Gwen's there. Yeah, and he steals Gwen, and that leads to the confrontation, the final fight between them in the clock tower, which is very tense in that small room, which obviously leads to the eventuality that obviously Gwen sadly dies, it looks brilliant in 4K. Still a very sad, like, horrible moment, obviously, for Peter. Like, it's the fact he's lost so many people around them, like Uncle Ben, Gwen's dad, Gwen now. So yeah, very emotional bit. Like the scene where you see how the scene where he, like the montage of him sat next to the grave, is really heart-wrenching as well, because you can just see that he's absolutely broken from it. Like, it's absolutely heart-wrenching to watch, in my opinion. But then he eventually watches Gwen's speech and then hears the words that she's saying. It takes a while, obviously, because grief is grief and it takes a while to get through. You know, you see Peter then get back up on his feet and, you know, become Spider-Man again, because it obviously would take him a while to get through that, which is nice. Like to see that, like, to see the emotional effect of what losing Gwen really did to him, which is, yeah, it's really hard to watch. Andrew really sells it. He does a fantastic job of it. Yeah. So obviously he eventually can become Spider-Man again, and that man in black that we saw at the end of Amazing Spider-Man 1 comes back and speaks to Goblin, and basically initiates putting the Sinister Six together. We see him walk past some of the other containers, like where we saw the glider for Green Goblin. So we see the Doc Ock arms, the Vulture wings, and the Rhino suit, which obviously Alexei becomes the Rhino, and it leads to the standoff right at the end. Yeah, which still annoys me to this day, that the fact that we didn't get a full fight and it just ends on a cliffhanger really bugs me. But yeah, overall, not the best film. Some bits I really didn't like, but then some stuff I did really like. It's the fact that I don't think it's as bad as everyone says it is. Like, I honestly really enjoy this film, and I think there's a lot to take away from these two films. It's a shame that Amazing Spider-Man 3 hasn't been made. Obviously, Amazing Spider-Man 3 is being trending, and I really hope it does. I really hope that Venom and Morbius are linked into that universe. Yeah, I just hopefully, like, yeah, I just hope that Amazing Spider-Man 3 is made. Now, if we got Snyder Cut, why can't we have Amazing Spider-Man 3? That's just my opinion. Some people probably be like, nah, I don't want that, but I don't care about you. But anyway, guys, that is my overall opinion of it. I definitely would say this set is worth it, because they look great on 4K. They look absolutely gorgeous, both films. Amazing Spider-Man 2 looks immaculate. I really like this. I'm really glad that I have this on 4K as well as the Maguire ones, which are just tucked on this little new shelf that I've got. Yeah, we've got more shelving because we're running out of space, because that's what the problem of being a collector is. But yeah, no, overall, really enjoy this. I'd probably give these films about an 8.5. I wouldn't give them a 9.5 like I did the Maguire ones, but yeah, transfer-wise, fucking 9.9 out of 10. 9.9 out of 10, easily, on the transfers. They look fucking immaculate. But yeah, no, I really like these films. I think there's a lot to enjoy here, personally, and yeah, I enjoy every live-action Spider-Man. We've got, like, the Maguire ones, these ones, Into the Spider-Verse, and the Tom Holland films. Like, I don't hate any of them. Growing up, it's just, like, I've learned to appreciate them, you know? Anyway, guys, thank you for sitting and watching this video. I'm glad you check this one out if you've checked out the other video. Link in the description if you want to check out my opinions of the Maguire trilogy. Yeah, hope you enjoy. Give this video a like and all that shebang. Subscribe if you're new. Hit that. Go follow me on Instagram. I was about to say hit that subscribe button. No, follow me on Instagram. Yeah, but that being said, guys, I hope you have a great day. Go watch some films and watch out for the man who's hijacked the tow truck, because there might be some deadly plutonium on there. Ooh, deadly! Don't know what I was fucking doing there. Anyway, guys, yeah, like I said, have a good one. Have a great day. Yeah, and this has been your boy. Peace out, boy. Yeah, yeah. What am I doing?